Many people have different opinions about the criminal justice system, but one thing is universally accepted. Some individuals deserve to be locked up for their terrible crimes. Across the globe, there are criminals who have been or are currently incarcerated for committing some of the most horrific acts imaginable. In this discussion, we'll explore the most dangerous inmates currently behind bars and delve into the reasons why they are considered so dangerous. Number 1 on our list is Nico Jenkins. If you're unfamiliar with the name Nico Jenkins, you might still recognize his face as it went viral in 2019 due to his menacing appearance. Jenkins should be widely known, not just for his look, but for the brutal crimes he committed. Tragically, his story is often overlooked. Jenkins had a troubled upbringing. His family was neglectful, struggled with drug addiction, and was deeply involved in criminal activities, including robbery and murder, across Omaha, Nebraska. The warning signs appeared early. At just 7 years old, Jenkins was caught bringing a gun to school. By the age of 16, he was already in prison, where he participated in numerous riots and attacked guards. In 2013, Jenkins committed a shocking crime spree, murdering 4 people in just 10 days. One of his victims was someone he had met in prison, while the other 3 had no prior connection to him. He shot his victims in various parts of their bodies, including the head, back, face, and in one case, the groin. Jenkins was initially arrested on unrelated charges of making terroristic threats. However, further investigation linked him to the violent killing spree in the Fort Street area. Jenkins claimed that the murders were sacrifices to the ancient Egyptian deity, Apophis, a confession he made during an 8-hour interview. He pleaded guilty to the killings, attributing his actions to a severe mental illness. Despite his explanations, Jenkins was sentenced to death by a 3-judge panel. Additionally, he received a 450-year prison sentence for weapons charges. Although he attempted to appeal the decision, the United States Supreme Court refused to hear his case. Number 2 on our list is Aileen Wuornos, a criminal so notorious that her life was turned into a movie titled Monster. If that doesn't say something, I don't know what will. Aileen Wuornos was an American serial killer who grew up in Michigan. Her upbringing was troubled, and a life of crime seemed almost inevitable for the young Wuornos. Initially, her offenses were limited to armed robberies, forgeries, and auto theft, which resulted in several stints in jail. But by 1989, after years of drifting, her crimes escalated to something far more sinister. Wuornos began posing as a prostitute and hitchhiker, luring men who picked her up on the side of the road to their deaths. Between 1989 and 1991, she killed 7 men. While she initially claimed these murders were in self-defense, she later admitted she had killed for profit. In 1991, Wuornos was sentenced to death by lethal injection, and she was executed in 2002 at a Florida state prison. She is often referred to as the first female serial killer. When asked if killing 7 men didn't make her a serial killer, Wuornos responded, "I didn't kill them every day, did I? If I did, there would be hundreds." She also mentioned that there were many men she encountered before another jerk came along, and that she used protection like a condom during these encounters. Number 3 on our list is Andrei "Red Ripper" Chikatilo. Andrei "Red Ripper" Chikatilo was one of Russia's most notorious serial killers. Often referred to as the Butcher or Red Ripper, his crimes were marked by extreme brutality and terror. Beginning his horrific spree in 1978, Chikatilo lured a 9-year-old girl to a house he owned, where he attempted to assault her. When he failed, he murdered her, setting the stage for a string of gruesome killings that would continue throughout the 1980s. Chikatilo targeted young women and children, and his crimes were infamous for their shocking and graphic nature. He operated across various regions in Russia, evading capture for years while leaving a trail of victims behind. His actions instilled fear throughout the country, with many horrified by the grotesque details of his killings. In 1990, the discovery of his 38th victim near the Don Lesko station led to a breakthrough. A local officer had noticed Chikatilo at the scene on the night of the murder, his suspicious behavior standing out due to his formal attire, a wound on his finger, and blood on his cheek. Although the officer let him go initially, this encounter later helped authorities narrow down their suspect list. After being arrested in November 1990, Chikatilo eventually confessed to his crimes during a psychological evaluation. He was convicted of murdering 52 people, although 9 of these convictions were later overturned due to a lack of evidence. In 1994, Chikatilo was executed by firing squad, ending the life of one of the most infamous killers in Russian history. Number 4 on our list is Thomas Terrible, Tommy Silverstein. Thomas Terrible Tommy Silverstein was one of the most notorious inmates in the U.S. federal prison system, known for his extreme violence and the impact he had on prison security policies. Silverstein was initially sentenced to prison for armed robbery, but his time behind bars saw him transform into a dangerous and feared criminal. Silverstein's reputation was cemented when he murdered a fellow inmate in 1980, earning him his first life sentence. However, it was his subsequent actions that truly earned him the moniker Terrible Tommy. In 1983, while incarcerated at the United States Penitentiary in Marion, Illinois, Silverstein brutally killed a prison guard named Merle Kletz. This murder, which was carried out in a calculated and cold-blooded manner, led to Silverstein being placed in solitary confinement, where he would spend the next several decades. The killing of Officer Kletz was a turning point for the U.S. Bureau of Prisons, leading to the creation of the Supermax prison model, designed to hold the most dangerous and disruptive inmates in near-total isolation. Silverstein became a symbol of the need for such extreme measures, as his behavior and influence were seen as a major threat to prison order. Silverstein spent over 30 years in solitary confinement, one of the longest periods of such isolation ever recorded. His case sparked debates about the ethics of long-term solitary confinement and the effects it has on mental health. Silverstein passed away in 2019 while still in custody, leaving behind a legacy as one of the most feared and controversial figures in the history of the American prison system.